The moment you decide to upgrade your machine, and suddenly, the digital aisle of storage components throws a confusing, intimidating cloud of letters at your face. M2, PCIe, NVMe, SATA, AHC. You are not alone. For years, the storage industry has used this complicated language as a gatekeeper, making the crucial decision about your computer test speed feel like a secret handshake you haven't been taught. But that ends right now. We are going to break down every single SSD type, protocol, and form factor in plain, relatable language. By the time we are done, you won't just know what each one means, you'll understand why it matters, how it affects your daily life, and you'll walk away knowing exactly which drive to buy without ever questioning yourself again. SATAs, SDs are the classic starting point, the foundation upon which the entire modern era of lightning-fast computing was built. Imagine the world before SSDs, a time when your computer's brain lived in a bulky metal box, constantly spinning. You'd hit the power button and then you'd wait. You could make a cup of coffee, check the mail, or even watch a short sitcom intro, all before your desktop icons finally finished popping up. That was life with the mechanical hard drive, a technological artifact limited by the speed of its tiny whirring motor. Then came the SATA SSD. These early solid-state drives were the quiet revolutionary. They didn't require any invasive, complicated system overhaul. They were designed to plug into the exact same SATA ports, the humble, L-shaped cables that your old hard drive used. This compatibility was their stroke of genius, the reason they were adopted so easily when they first went mainstream. If your existing computer supported a hard drive, it could handle ASATA SSD without a single hitch, an instant, democratic upgrade for millions of machines worldwide. The performance leap was simply gargantuan. It was the moment you went from having a slow, sluggish system to one that felt truly snappy. Think about the emotional impact of that change. Your boot times dropped not from a minute to 30 seconds, but from minutes down to literal seconds. Programs that used to hesitate now launched instantly. Even older laptops, machines you were ready to retire and donate, felt brand new again, rejuvenated by the silence and the speed of flash storage. It was an initial moment of pure technological magic. But all magic has its limits, and the SATA SD quickly found its ceiling. The downside, the anchor holding back all this potential, is that SATA SDs are permanently stuck at a maximum theoretical speed of around 550 megabytes per second. Now, if you're coming directly from a mechanical hard drive, which often topped out below 100 megabytes per second, 550 megabytes per second sounds impossibly fast. It feels like you've been shot out of a cannon. This is where the analogy from the original article truly hits home. Imagine going from walking to riding a bicycle. The transition feels absolutely amazing at first. You cover ground effortlessly, you enjoy the wind in your hair, and you feel like you are flying. But then you pull up to the highway and you see the cars, the modern, lightning-fast drives racing by at 70, 80, 100 miles per hour, blurring past your field of vision. Suddenly, the bike, though wonderful, doesn't seem so impressive anymore. It's restricted by the single humble road it must travel. The ultimate way to conceptualize the SATA drive today is to view it as the dependable flip phone of the SSD world. When the flip phone first came out, it was a sleek, portable marvel, revolutionary communication at your fingertips. Today, nobody is bragging about still using one, but they still work flawlessly for making calls. SATA drives are the same. They are cheap, utterly reliable, and still widely available. But they are absolutely no longer on the cutting edge of performance. They have settled into their role as the reliable backbone perfect for a budget build where cost matters most, or as the essential, bulk extra storage in an older machine where the motherboard doesn't even support anything faster. They are the definition of stable efficiency, but they will never again deliver pure speed. If SATA is the physical connection, the humble cable, then AHCI is the old bureaucratic language that connection is forced to speak. This is where the invisible complexity truly begins. And it is a fascinating piece of technological history that creates the bottleneck you feel, but often can't name. AHCI stands for Advanced Host Controller Interface, and it is the instruction manual that tells the computer, CPU, how to talk to the storage drive. Here's the critical, central issue. AHCI was not designed for your new high-speed SSD. It was designed, architected, and finalized long before flash storage became common. It was originally built for the slow, mechanical hard drive. When the first SSDs arrived, Engineers were faced with a choice: design an entirely new system from scratch, a costly, slow compatibility nightmare, or carry over the existing, stable AHCI language. They chose the latter, and for compatibility reasons, AHCI was carried over into the first generation of SATA SSDs. The problem, the fundamental flaw that shackles the drive, is HCI's utterly antiquated approach to handling requests. It was never meant to handle the insane parallel processing and juggling speed of modern flash storage. Because it was designed for a spinning disk, which can only access one physical sector at a time, AHCI can only manage one single command queue with a maximum of 32 tasks at any given moment. To the hard drive, this was fine. The disk was physically limited, so a single line of 32 requests was more than enough to keep the mechanical arm busy. But the SSD, with its lack of moving parts, is capable of juggling literally thousands of requests simultaneously. It has countless flash memory cells ready and waiting to respond at a micro level. This is where HCI becomes a catastrophic bottleneck. Let's bring back the supermarket analogy and flesh out the scene to make it palpable. Picture a brand new, enormous, beautifully stocked supermarket that's your SSD, full of flash chips, the workers ready to help thousands of customers your data requests. The store is filled with shoppers and everything is perfectly organized. But as you look toward the exit, you see the problem. There is only one cashier open. That solitary cashier, the bottleneck, is a HCI. The workers inside the store, the lighting fast flash chips, are waiting, their digital hands hovering over the scanners, ready to instantly process the thousands of data requests, the items, that need to be checked out. But they are forced to wait for the single checkout line to process the 32 tasks in the single queue. Even if the store is full of workers and the aisles are fully staffed, the line will always move slowly because there's only one checkout open, one single communication path. The latency, the delay you feel in your system, is the time your data spends waiting in that AHCI line. This is the hidden reality of every SATA SSD you've ever seen. Under the sleek hood, it's running on AHCI. It's dependable, absolutely compatible, and functions perfectly well, but the moment you compare it to newer technologies, its limits become starkly apparent. It's the digital equivalent of trying to stream a 4K Netflix movie on a physical connection made for dial-up internet. Is it technically possible to get the 4K stream? Yes, eventually in fits and starts, but will it be enjoyable? No. It will stutter, it will buffer, and it will remind you every second that the interface, the language, is fundamentally mismatched with the capability of the incredible hardware. You've upgraded the road, but the traffic laws are still from the 1950s. Now, let's tackle what is arguably the biggest, most potent source of confusion for consumers today: M2. When you hear the term M2, you likely picture the fastest, sleekest drives on the market. A lot of people believe M2 automatically means a ridiculously fast SD. Others simply assume M2 and NVMe are synonyms. This is the great trap laid out by imprecise marketing, because neither of those assumptions is true. M2 is simply the physical form factor. That is all it is. It is the shape, the connector, the physical silhouette of the drive itself. An M2 SSD is that small, slim stick of storage, the one that looks exactly like a stick of gum. It is an engineering marvel designed to plug directly into a dedicated slot on your motherboard, without the need for a single power or data cable. This design is revolutionary because it is perfect for two things: thin, compact laptops, where every millimeter of space is sacred, and for clean, cable-managed desktop builds where enthusiasts strive for a minimalist aesthetic. It's a beautifully simple, elegant piece of hardware. But here's the tricky part, the deceptive asterisk you must engrave into your memory. Not all M2 drives are fast. Remember that old, reliable SATA technology, capped at 550 megabytes per second? Well, some drives take that humble SATA technology and package it into the sleek M2 stick of gum shape. When you buy an M2 SATA drive, it fits perfectly, it looks modern, and it feels like an upgrade, but under the hood it's still running the AHCI protocol, still restricted to the same old 550 megabytes per second cap. This is the moment of the great consumer deception. You've been sold on the look of speed, but not the substance of speed. To bring back the analogy, the M2 form factor is like a universal keyhole on your motherboard. When you buy the drive, you are only ensuring that the key will fit into the lock. But the key can open two completely different doors. The first door is the SATA AHCI room, the old tech. And the second door is the NVMe PCIe room, the new tech. The difference between these two doors can be absolutely massive. A canyon-wide gap in performance that often frustrates new builders. It's the difference between buying a stunningly beautiful sports car chassis sleek, aerodynamic, painted a vibrant red, but with an engine inside that only goes 40 miles per hour versus one that actually rockets down the highway at breakneck speed. They both look identical sitting in the driveway, but their capability is worlds apart. While most modern M2 drives today correctly utilize the faster NVMe technology, it is an absolutely critical, non-negotiable step not to assume. When you are shopping, you must train your eye to look beyond the M2 label and immediately check the specification for the hidden text. Does it say SATA or does it say NVMe? That single word is the difference between an immediate, exhilarating upgrade and a frustrating feeling that you wasted your money on a beautiful but functionally slow piece of hardware. The shape ensures the fit. The protocol ensures the performance. If we've established that M2 is the shape and SATA is the back road, then PCIe, short for Peripheral Component Interconnect Express, is the multi-lane high-speed controlled access highway that the fastest SSDs use to talk directly to your CPU. This is not just an upgrade. It is an entirely different level of infrastructure, a leap in communication that fundamentally redefined what data transfer could be. The problem with the old SATA road was that it was, functionally, a single-lane road. No matter how few or how many cars data requests were on it, they could only pass through one lane at a time. PCIe eliminates this constraint by acting as a modern expressway, one where data can travel through multiple independent lanes at once. This is the power of parallel communication, and the results are staggering. The speed of a PCIe drive is determined by two main factors: the generation of the technology and the number of lanes it uses. Just like a physical highway, more lanes and newer pavement equal a vastly superior experience. Consider the evolution. SATA, the single-lane back road, tops out at 550 megabytes per second. PCIe 3.0, the first expressway, typically uses 4 lanes by 4, and can deliver speeds around 3,500 megabytes per second. That's over 6 times faster than SATA. PCIe 4.0, the double-capacity highway. This generation effectively doubles the lane capacity, pushing speeds to about 7,500 megabytes per second. PCIe 5.0, the future Hyperloop, doubling the capacity again. This latest generation is pushing close to a theoretical maximum of 14,000 megabytes per second. Compare that final number 14,000 megabytes per second to SATA's 550 megabytes ZES, and you see the difference isn't just large. It's enormous. A massive chasm that separates efficiency from waiting. This level of speed moves beyond simple bragging rights. It matters profoundly for critical professional tasks. Gaming. Games load instantly, eliminating stuttering on texture pop-in that plagues slower drives. The difference is the time between selecting a level and being actively in the game world. Video editing and 3D rendering. These applications constantly read and write massive project files. Moving a 50 gigabytes 4K video file from one place to another goes from a multi-minute break to a matter of seconds. Time saved here translates directly into professional productivity and client deadlines met. Large-scale file transfers. Moving an entire Steam library or backing up an enormous database becomes a non-issue. The PCIe system, however, comes with a price, both literally and figuratively. The higher prices are obvious, but the figurative cost is the matter of PCIe lanes. Think of your CPU and motherboard as having a finite budget of these highway lanes. You can't just connect everything to the maximum speed without consequence. When you install a high-end graphics card, a capture card, a powerful Wi-Fi adapter, and 3 high-speed NVMe drives, you start running into a hidden traffic problem: bandwidth sharing issues. Your system must negotiate which component gets access to the most lanes at any given moment, and in high-demand scenarios, your drives may have to temporarily share a lane with the GPU, leading to a fractional slowdown. The luxurious speed of PCIe requires conscious management of your system's resources. Still, for anyone serious about performance today, PCIe has firmly established itself as the non-negotiable standard. If you are buying a modern, fast drive, it is almost certainly going to be PCIe based. You are moving off the single-lane back road, SATA, and jumping onto the multi-lane expressway, PCIe. The destination, your data, is the same, but the time it takes to get there, and the pure exhilaration of the ride is fundamentally, profoundly different. Finally, we arrive at the protocol that completes the perfect high-speed synergy, NVMe, or non-volatile memory express. If PCIe is the highway, NVMe is the completely redesigned, ultra-efficient traffic management system built specifically for that highway. It is the destination, the goal, and the ultimate realization of flash storage potential. NVMe is not an accident of history like HCI was. It was created meticulously and specifically for the SSD. It is the modern protocol, built from the ground up to take full, ruthless advantage of the speed, parallel processing, and low-latency nature of flash memory. To understand its sheer power, we must recall the Achilles heel of the old system. AHCI was the single cashier, managing one queue of 32 commands. It was designed for slow, sequential movement. NVMe explodes that constraint into insignificance. Instead of one single line, NVMe supports up to 64,000 queues. And here is the mind-bending part. Each of those 64,000 queues can handle up to 64,000 commands simultaneously. Think about the math. That's millions of requests happening in perfect, parallel synchronization. It's moving from a single filing clerk to a global distributed database. This dramatic shift is not an incremental improvement. It is an architectural revolution that eliminates the bottleneck at the foundational level. The impact of this shift is most apparent in the concept of latency. Latency is the minuscule delay, the lag between a request being sent and the drive beginning to respond. Tasks that took 30 microseconds, a microsecond is 1/1,000,000th of a second, under the old single-file AHCI system can drop to just 10 microseconds with NVMe. This is why NVMe drives feel so much faster, not just in obscure benchmark numbers, but in the tangible, real-world use of your system. Latency is the feeling of snappiness. Lower latency means that your game loads instantly, massive project files transfer in a blink, and multitasking juggling a video render, a massive file download, and a streaming movie becomes perfectly seamless. Let's return to our final empowering analogy. If AHCI was the single supermarket cashier, forcing a long, frustrating line for every customer, NVMe is like opening 1,000 registers at once, staffed by 64,000 clerks. Suddenly, the lines disappear entirely. Your data, your customer, gets processed immediately. There is no waiting. NVMe is the modern standard for high-speed SSDs, and when it is paired with the bandwidth of the PCIe connection, it unlocks the true, exhilarating potential of storage technology. It is the combination of the fastest highway with the smartest traffic control. So there you have it. The secret language of storage, the alphabet soup that once looked so intimidating, has finally been decoded. The journey we've taken through the digital infrastructure of your PC provides a profound lesson that extends beyond mere technology and into daily life. Hidden constraints are often the real enemy of efficiency. You can have the most expensive components in the world, but if the communication protocol AHCI is outdated or the physical connection SATA is a single-lane road, the potential of the entire system remains shackled. The ultimate lesson here is one of empowerment through literacy. Now you know that SATA was the starting line, cheap, reliable, but capped. AHCI was the old language that created the fundamental bottleneck. M2 is just the shape. A gorgeous stick that can hold old tech or new tech. PCIe is the multi-lane highway, providing the necessary bandwidth. NVMe is the modern protocol that provides infinite queues and lightning-fast speed. Put those together, and suddenly the chaos makes perfect sense. For any new build, any system you want to feel truly modern, the answer is clear. You must prioritize an NVMe PCIe drive. It is fast, efficient, and built for the future. A guarantee that your system will be able to maximize its potential without delay. The wisdom for you to carry forward is this. Don't just look at the price tag. Look at the synergy. Always check that the sleek M2 drive you want is explicitly listed as NVMe. Invest in the best PCIe generation your motherboard supports. The small premium you pay for the proper NVMe PCIe drive will be recouped hundreds of times over in the sheer joy of instantaneous, Responsiveness, eliminating the frustrating seconds of waiting that silently erode your time and patience every single day. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive today. Wishing you all the very best of health and happiness. And if you found this journey as fascinating as I did, please consider hitting that subscribe button and ringing the bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the heart of technology.